I just don't get them. I don't understand the situations in which you would be wearing one. Hello, fiber friends. Welcome back to the Made It Better One and its YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be talking about tiny scarves. Tiny scarves are having a moment. So, if you are a fan of the tiny scarf, I hope you will share with us how you're wearing it, when you're wearing it, and then I'm going to be sharing with you 10 patterns for tiny scarves to add to your collection. So if that sounds like it will be of interest to you, I hope you'll stick around. All right, friends, thank you for joining me for today's video. As I said, we are going to be talking about tiny scarves. I will start off by saying that I don't really get the tiny scarves. And I'm not saying this to be contrary or edgy. I am saying this to encourage you, if you are a tiny scarf fan, to please share what your experience with the tiny scarf is. So from my perspective, if it's cold, I want something big and chunky and warm around my neck. And if it's warm, I don't want anything around my neck at all. Even if it's made out of cotton, I don't want something high and close fitting in warm weather. That may be because of the climate I live in. It is not just hot here in the summer, but very humid. It may be because personally, I am a person who sweats very easily. I don't want that around my neck, creating more opportunities for sweating. However, in the winter, I am very cold. A teeny little scarf is not going to keep me warm. That's not to say there aren't some really cute teeny scarves. There certainly are. I just don't get them. I don't understand the situations in which you would be wearing one. Is it just an aesthetic thing? Is it just a style? How are you styling your teeny scarves? Are they actually providing any warmth? Are they providing too much warmth in the summer, even when made out of cotton? Are they more breathable than one might think? So in general, I would love to hear your experiences with the teeny scarves. I certainly can't say for sure when this phenomenon started, but I think the teeny scarf that we are all the most familiar with is the Sophie Scarf. This is an exceptionally popular pattern for a teeny scarf. It is not a super complicated one, just mostly garter stitch with what looks like some slipped stitch selvages. I don't know because I haven't knit one. Whether the Sophie Scarf started the teeny scarf journey or it was just that Petite Knit picked up on the vibe and ran with it and happened to release this pattern, I don't know. But that's certainly the time at which I became aware that teeny scarves were becoming a thing, and I definitely think it is the most popular teeny scarf. However, there are many other teeny scarves out there. So whether you already have a Sophie Scarf and are looking for other options, or whether you don't want to jump on the Sophie Scarf bandwagon, but you still want a teeny scarf, today I'm going to be sharing 10 patterns for teeny scarves. So scarflettes, bandanas, kerchiefs, neckerchiefs, things in that realm. No cowls. These are all things with two loose ends. Some of them are more triangle shaped, like the bandana. Some of them are more traditionally scarfed shaped. Some of them are kind of somewhere in between. But I'm going to be sharing 10 patterns with you. All of these will be in the description box down below, linked in a bundle, which will also have, I think it has 19 tiny scarf patterns total in case you need even more ideas, but I'm not going to talk about all 19 today. Without further ado, let's look at some teeny scarves. I'm going to start with the teeny scarf that I think if I were going to make a teeny scarf, this is really cute and I would consider making this. Baffled by the teeny scarf, so I don't know how or when I would wear this, but also it's made of mohair, and most mohair is soft, but some of it can be prickly, and you kind of have to try them out. And I definitely wouldn't want anything prickly around my neck, regardless of the season or the style. However, this is really cute. And if maybe the comments can convince me that there's a situation in which I would wear a teeny scarf, maybe this one will hop on my needles. This is the Do Scarf. This is a pattern by Irene Lynn, who is a wonderful designer, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of her stuff. She just released this last month. It is worked with a lace weight yarn, as you might imagine. It says it is worked sideways with a selvage edge and made with a lace weight mohair knitted with larger needles to create an airy lace texture. It says, when wearing it, I used a ring to secure the scarf, which is a cute idea. Simply thread both ends of the scarf through the ring. So I like that. That's a really cute idea. Comes in just one size. Presumably, it looks like a relatively straightforward lace pattern, so you could probably work more or fewer repeats of the pattern to change the size. You could also change your needle size. So this is a lace weight yarn worked on US 10 needles. The yarn she used is a 70-30 mohair silk from Majo Garn, I do not know. I've never heard of that before. It is their pearl mohair, and it does say you can add repeats to change the size. And you can also see this photo of her wearing it like a little hair bow, which is also cute. I kind of like that. So this is available for $6 on Ravelry. The sample used 229 yards, which is just one ball of the suggested yarn. So this, even with some of the pricier lace weight mohairs, this is probably a one ball, one skein project, so it's going to be pretty reasonably priced. She also includes some styling tips. Maybe I need to check those out. But this one, really cute, just released, tiny scarf, and she does have a fair number of photos, showing how she's styling it, which I think is helpful. So that's the tiny scarf that I think maybe, if I could envision how it would fit into my wardrobe, I might like to have. All right, next up we have the Star Scarf. This is a more traditional teeny scarf in that it's scarf shaped. It's basically a long strip. This is a pattern by Tori Yu. This is available for $7 on Ravelry. This one uses fingering weight yarn, and her suggested yarns are Sandisgarn Lina. I thought Lina was a worsted. Hang on. It's written for 2 yarn weights, fingering and DK, in 2 sizes. And it uses 2 colors as well. So she's suggesting Sandisgarn Lina, which is a non-wool yarn. That's cotton rayon linen. Knitting for Olive Merino, which is a wool yarn. Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, which is a wool cotton blend. And Kelbourne Woolen's Perennial, which is a merino Surrey nylon light fingering. Sounds like an interesting blend. So the Star Scarf is a stylish and modern 2-color neck scarf, knitted lengthwise in garter stitch and using short rows to form an interested angled design with 2 colors. And it's an excellent way to use leftovers from other projects or mini skeins. So this is really cute. I think if I were going to knit something like this, I would probably go with a lower contrast between my 2 colors. She does have it styled a couple of different ways here. She does recommend one yarn at least that is non-wool. So maybe this could be kind of a summer scarf. She also has a cute photo in here of it being worn as a headband. So I guess that would be another option. So she does include 2 sizes, short and long, one being 30 inches or 42 inches, and the width, so the width says 2¼ 2½ inches. So just a rather thin scarf. I don't know how I feel about skinny scarves. That just really brings back some unfortunate style choices from the early 2000s. But be that as it may, this is a cute project. Great that it's fingering, it's worsted, there's sizes, there's lots of options in here. And we all like a scrappy project as well. So if you're looking for a colorful tiny scarf, that one again is the Star Scarf. All right, this next one is technically a bandana, but a bandana can, generally speaking, be worn as a little neckerchief as well. So this is the Bandana Eva by Mochi Knits. This is available on Ravelry for $4.15. This uses Aran weight yarn, and the suggested yarn is Wool and the Gang Tina tape, which is a 100% tencel. And presumably is, with a name like Tina tape, is probably a tape, meaning it's a flat yarn. I've never seen this yarn in person, so I don't know. So she does include two sizes. Both can be worked with just one ball or skein or however it is put up of the Tina tape. Probably, also scrap yarn. So it uses 40 to 50 grams of yarn. However, given that Tina tape is a kind of a very distinctive yarn, it's not just sort of any old Aran weight yarn, substitutions may be a little tricky for this one. All of this is shown worn in her hair, but certainly it could be put around the neck as well, especially if you knit the larger size, which will have a longer width, making it a little bit easier to tie around your neck. The patterning here, I translated this pattern. I can't remember. I want to say it's like a slip stitch kind of texture. I mean, it's definitely texture, but I want to say it's made by using slip stitches, but I don't remember 100%. But it is a nice textured pattern with some nice details along the edge of the bind off as well. This is definitely kind of a more summery project, if that is what you were looking for, a more warm weather project. And even if you don't use that yarn, it's going to be a good option for scrap yarns, leftover yarns. Although again, given that the yarn structure of the recommended yarn is distinct, yours might end up looking a little different. But this is a really cute, quick project if you're looking for a little bandana. Moving along, next up we have the Noel Scarflet. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart, who is better known as Curious Handmade. This is available on Ravelry for $8.38. It also appears to be part of an ebook of 6 patterns that is available for $22.34. So the recommended yarn for this one is a wool. And while this is a teeny scarf, it does seem to be long enough to wrap multiple times. It's going to be very customizable, though. You don't have to wear it as close fitting as it is shown here. What I like about this one is it's mostly plain garter stitch, but then it has this cute bit of lace work in the middle, which I think just makes for a fun project. It's going to hold your interest. The Noel Scarflet embodies the spirit of readiness and joy. Delightful, quick to knit accessory is as adorable as it is practical, worked up in cozy DK weight yarn, combines squishy comfort of garter stitch with the intrigue of a wavy eyelet lace pattern. And it has an I-cord border, so it's a nice, neat finish. She just includes one size, but again, with something like garter stitch, resizing going to be pretty simple. You would probably just want to leave that eyelet in the middle, and then the rest could be altered pretty simply. It uses NNK 8-ply DK Merino Silk Yak. Total yarn usage looks to be about 198 yards, which would be less than a skein of the suggested yarn, probably at most 2 balls of a DK weight yarn. So this one I think is really cute. I'm kind of confused by some of the styling in the photos because you can't really see that little eyelet lace bit that is in the middle. So that part I don't particularly understand. Like, what's the point of putting the lace in there if you're not going to see it when you wear it? So probably there must be some ways to kind of tie this so that you get a little bit of a better view of that cute lace pattern in the middle. But even if you just worked it in all over garter stitch, it would be a quick project. Might work as a nice gift. It does just have, again, the one size, but probably easy to resize. And another nice addition to our tiny scarf collection today. Let's look at another summery-ish tiny scarf. This is the Netty Scarf by Lily Kate France. This is available on Ravelry for $6.98, 5 pounds. And it is worked in a fingering weight yarn, it looks like. However, it has this very open mesh eyelet design, which is going to make it very breathable, even if worked in wool. Not as breathable as cotton, obviously, but so this one definitely probably not for warmth. it's too airy for that. It says a fun stash busting project. Use up those scraps and minis. Garter stitch based mesh makes a lightweight fabric with great drape for a scarf that can be worn in a multitude of ways. So the yarns she uses are Sakami Yarns Superwash Merino Fingering or West Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite 4-ply, which is a Falkland silk blend, or Susan Crawford Vintage Blue M Sock, which is Blueface Leicester and nylon. She does provide 2 sizes. And how much yarn are we using for this? Looks like about 300 yards total. If you chose to make it two-tone, which she does in some of the pictures, it looks like you would need about 150 yards of each color. So less than a skein of fingering weight yarn if that is what you are using. So it is worked from tip to tip with slip stitch edgings. And then short rows are worked sort of in the middle to create a boomerang shape to help it lie nicely around the neck. So this one definitely very airy, probably not providing a lot of warmth, but cute. She has some nice styling photos in here. She does seem to have multiple samples, kind of giving you a look at some of the options for this. Looks like it's probably relatively easy to memorize stitch pattern as well, so probably a pretty quick project to knit. And it's knit on a US 6, so that's a larger size for a fingering weight yarn. So that one again is the Netty Scarf. If you were interested in something kind of stripy, this next one will be of interest to you. This is the Jacques Scarf. This is patterned by Laura Penrose, available on Ravelry for 5 pounds or $6.98. So this is a nice stripy take on the teeny scarf, knit in DK weight yarn. She includes 2 sizes in the pattern. This one is a little more complicated. So it says you need to know how to do double knitting and intarsia. She does provide tutorials, but those are some more advanced techniques. Personally, I don't care for intarsia. It just never looks the way I want it to. That's really a personal problem though. So it says the Jacques Scarf is worked tip to tip in garter stitch while simultaneously working the I-cord and double knit edges. Intarsia is used to work the double knit edge. Increases are made to the center point, then you can switch colors if you like. So she has both versions here where she stays in just 2 colors the whole time, and then she has other versions where she still stays in 2 colors but swaps, the thicker and the thinner stripe colors halfway through, and they both look really cute. She also is really helpful that she's giving you the amount of yarn that you need, whether you're going to stay consistent with your main and contrast color or you're going to swap them halfway through, which I think is really helpful. And it looks like overall you need either 200 meters for the small, or 280 meters for the large. I don't know how much that is. Hang on. Alexa, how many yards is 200 meters? 220 yards, 200 meters. So that should give you an idea. I cannot get a grip on the metric system. Like there are some things I know, like 4 inches, 10 centimeters, easy. So then 2 inches, 5 centimeters, like some stuff I've got, but the meters to yards, I cannot figure it out. I can never remember even which one is more. And I don't know why. God forbid we ever have to move to Peru. I'm really going to be screwed. Anyway, so there are a lot. She's got 50 projects on this. So if you want to see other people's versions, you will have lots of opportunities. I really think it looks cute in these photos where it's rolled up like a little croissant. It might be worth knitting just to make your little like yarn croissants. Under 300 yards, it sounds like. This is probably a good stash buster, or depending on what kind of leftovers you got from a project, it might work for that as well. So again, this one is the Jacques Scarf by Laura Penrose. This next one, if you have been admiring everybody's pressed flowers, this, that, and the other thing, Here is a free pattern for a little pressed flowers kerchief. So obviously, as with all the other pressed flowers designs, this is from Amy Christopher's, and it is available from Hobby Yarn, and it is available for free. So this, as you might imagine, uses mosaic knitting to create this flower motif that Amy has used in a number of other designs, but obviously much lower stakes. It's much smaller. So let's see what it says. The pattern includes one size, just this kind of little bandana kerchief, neckerchief deal. It is available in many in many languages as well. Pressed flowers kerchief is knit side to side, increasing every other row, and then for the first half, and then decreasing, and it has an all-over mosaic stitch with a motif border. It can be made any size by adding or subtracting repeats. And the yarn used here is Garland from Hobby, which is a worsted weight, 70% cotton, 30% alpaca. This is actually really cute, and if you can relatively easily increase the size simply by adding more repeats, then you could probably make this into a pretty full-size shawl, if that were what was of interest to you. There is a pressed flower shawl is all over the flower motif. This would just be a shawl with a little flower motif around the border. So Garland is a worsted weight yarn, so this probably works up pretty quickly. And even if you were to, again, try to turn it into a shawl, it would probably still work up pretty quickly with that worsted weight yarn. And she's showing you a lot of the different color combos of that hobby yarn that she uses. So if you just wanted to kind of jump on the pressed flowers bandwagon without undertaking a huge project, this is a really cute option, and it's free. All right, next up, if you're looking for something pretty straightforward, we have the Alex Scarf. This is a pattern by Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive, so probably it uses Knitting for Olive yarn. The recommended yarn is the Knitting for Olive Merino, which is a light fingering. If it's fingering, you can probably also use the cotton merino. Let's see. This is available as a Ravelry download for $5.56. And it says it's actually designed for any gauge. So Alex Scarf is a simple ribbed scarf that can be knit up in a wide range of different yarn combinations. Scarf is worked back and forth from wingtip to wingtip in a 2x2 rib. 3 sizes are provided, but if it's just in a rib, it's probably relatively easy to resize as well. Small, medium, large, 41.25, 49.5, 90.5 inches long. And the widths vary from 3 to 6 inches at the deepest point. Is worked on relatively small needles. So this is not designed to be the kind of fingering weight project that is very airy. It is knit on US 1.5, which is basically a sock size needle for a sock weight yarn. They do provide a gauge, but of course, gauge is not going to be essential here. If you like the ribbed fabric that you're getting, that's really all you need. So again, this one is simple, straightforward, nothing fancy, sort of in the skinny scarf kind of style. So again, that's the Alex Scarf by Pernille Larsen. All right, let's take a look at another bandana, headband, kerchief, kind of tiny scarf. This is the Ostrich Feather lace kerchief. This is actually a free Ravelry download. So there are not a lot of details here, unfortunately, but you can go ahead and download the pattern for free, so you may as well just do it. Let's see what it says. You will have to know how to read charts. It is entirely charted, but none of the stitches are very complicated. This is knit, yarn over, knit two together, slip, slip, knit, and knit one, slip one, pass, slip, stitch over. So this is a very plain, straightforward, stripped down pattern for a very nice lacy pattern that could be worn as a little kerchief or as a little headband. The yarn recommended is cashmere lace from the Twice Sheared Sheep. It says 100% cashmere goat, 500 yards, 30 grams. I don't know anything about this yarn, looking at these pictures, it looks kind of like a slightly fuzzy lace weight yarn. So Knit Picks has a really nice lace weight alpaca that would probably be a really good choice for this project. And my guess is that it's going to be a lot cheaper than a 100% cashmere yarn. The total yardage used is 90 to 100 yards. If you know how to kind of expand charts, you could probably make this bigger. It should be relatively straightforward, but it would probably be helpful to have a charting program. There are a lot, I mean, given the kind of bare bones nature of this pattern, there are 137 projects. It's free, people like a free pattern. But you can take a look at some of other people's interpretations. This one looks like they probably, so some of them look like they enlarged it. Some of them, yeah, definitely. Some of them kind of turned it into a shawl. If you are looking for something cute and lacy and free, that's a nice option for you. So again, that was the Ostrich Feather lace kerchief from Dawn Pickett. All right, and then our last tiny scarf is the Buble scarf by Laura Nelkin. If you're familiar with Laura Nelkin, a lot of her designs are beaded. This is no exception. However, you could easily leave the beads off. So this pattern is available for $6 on Ravelry, and it uses fingering weight yarn. Now, as you can see, she is using a self-striping yarn here for something that is very colorful. You could definitely go more low-key with a single color. You could probably use scraps. You could use minis. So let's see what she has to say about it. A baby boomerang bandana with a beaded buble border. The perfect gift-giving, stash-busting, on-the-go knitting project. With its unique boomerang shape, this scarflet offers a fresh twist on the classic kerchief. Flight attendant inspired scarf. Interesting. Starts with a few stitches at one tip, gradually increasing. The pattern has a 4-row repeat that is easily memorized. Optional beads along the border. This one, you know, it has a unique shape. It has the optional beads. This is definitely a more vibrant project than some of the other ones. Certainly going to add some flair to your outfit. Again, it's very tiny. It's not going to provide you with a lot of warmth, but it is a cute and colorful accessory. It says the total yarn used is 125 yards. So this is definitely be a good leftover yarn from sock knitting option. It is knit on a US 6, so it's going to make it faster than if you were knitting a sock weight yarn with sock weight needles. And again, you know, with a project like this, gauge is not going to be super important. Changing the size is not going to be super difficult. It's going to be a very flexible and adaptable project for you. So again, that is Buble by Laura Nelkin. All right, so there you go. 10 teeny scarf projects, pattern ideas for if you are looking to expand your teeny scarf collection. There are a total of 19 patterns linked in that bundle, so there are a few more ideas down there for you if you really need some more suggestions for teeny scarves, but those were the ones that caught my eye. All right, and before you exit out of this video, don't forget, leave a comment. Let us know your experience, your opinions with the teeny scarf. How and why and when are you wearing them? Do I need to make one? Let us all know. For those of us who just cannot wrap our heads around the teeny scarf concept, we need some more information. So please do provide your feedback on the teeny scarves. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you enjoyed it, found it useful or interesting, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New knitting videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Mayday Peruana, and I will see you soon in another video.